What's up, people? Welcome to this episode of the By the Hood podcast or webcast because I don't know how you're consuming this content. I'm your host, as always. My name is Jimmy, and as we start off every show, that's with gratitude. Just want to say thank you to anyone who supports anything that we've got going on, and a special shout out to all the students from By the Hood University, as well as all the youth from the By the Hood Ownership Camp. Speaking of the By the Hood Ownership Camp is coming up this summer. It'll be the last week of June and all of July. But we also have a black tie event coming up June 18th here in the city of Philadelphia. I will put links about that black tie event, which is being put on by Better Than Success as well as Philadelphia Real Estate Week as a way to support the work that we're doing with our ownership camp. And for those who don't know, our ownership camp is free from kids ages 5 and up. Teaches about personal finance. We talk about real estate, stocks, crypto. So it's for the kids and it's absolutely free. But it's being supported by some good folks this year. So make sure you take a look at this black tie event that we have coming up. Just want to say thank you to everyone who supports what we got going on, though. My partner, Core, is not here today, but, our show is designed to highlight brothers and sisters who are putting out positive energy, building businesses, just doing great work in the community. And his brother I have right here, I can't wait for him to tell his story. Actually, we met at a community event. He was doing some work, as were we, and shout out to everybody from, City Athletics here in Philadelphia. We were speaking to the youth about, our different journeys. And I heard his story and I said, man, I want to share this on the podcast because there's not too many people that look like us who are in this space. So, I would just love for him to share his story and, talk about it. So without further ado, man, we got the good brother, Curran J. on. Curran, how are you, good brother?
Hey, what's going on, Jimmy? I'm doing pretty well. Yourself?
Oh, man, thank you for, sharing, some of your time. That's our most valuable asset. So I just want to say thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Listen, so your story was very inspiring, and I can't wait for you to share with our audience. But let's start with this though. Where are you from? Where you born and raised?
I'm born and raised in Philadelphia, Mount Airy section of Philadelphia.
Okay, so what schools did you go to coming up?
I went to Roxborough High School, and I graduated from Germantown High School. Also went to Houston Elementary and Lotus Academy in middle school. Okay. Yeah,
So what kind of student were you coming up?
I was a class clown, problem child. Yeah, I used to. But as I got older, I started using my bad for good. Start tapping into the good thing that I was doing as I was growing up. Although I was like a class clown, I was getting in trouble a lot. I always was into fashion. I always could dress. So as I got older, that's one of the things that I start, embracing, and that actually kind of made me turn my attitude and my demeanor to a positive.
Okay, good stuff. So what were the plans when you were coming up? So when you finished at Germantown, did you have any plans at that moment of what you wanted to do?
Honestly, like a lot of my friends that I was around at the time, like they didn't want to go to college. So, I say like you hang around non-successful people, like the number 9 successful people, and you're the 10th one, you're gonna be successful. So a lot of people I was hanging around at the time wasn't really interested in going to college. So I only applied to a community college, and I went there and went to community college for a semester from September to December, and I didn't finish. I dropped out and I started working because my mindset wasn't there. I didn't really have a goal or aspiration to be, to tap into my education further after high school. So, but that also prepared me for my life journey that I'm still on to this day. So I only have a few months of college experience in my life, but since then, it allowed me to have a better hustle mentality, a better, go out there and get it, and I appreciate my journey, and I wouldn't, change it for the world. I would love to have experienced that real college, networking, the real college in the dorm room, that brotherhood, that community aspect of going to college. Mm-hmm. That wasn't my experience,
Yeah, and that's, everybody has their own journey, and you go through things for a reason. So when you left community, you said you started working. How did you actually get into entrepreneurship? Was it while you were working you decided to start focusing on the fashion? How'd that come about?
Well, my father, he's always been in the fashion industry for over 20 years, 20 plus years. Most people know him for one of his biggest attributes, which was Mesquite. So if anybody know about Mesquite was like real popular in the early 2000s. So growing up, I was working with him and his partners and things of that nature. So I always was around fashion growing up. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and then as I got older with myself, this me being a melting pot of so many different other individuals that I've been around in my life, and my father, my mother, my uncles, my friends and family. I started to partake in getting dressed and realizing that I can take this further. So I started styling other people. I started styling my friends first for when they was going out to their proms, or when they started to they wanted to go out on a date or something like that. I was the one that was like helping them get dressed so they can look good for when they go places. So, and I started getting a lot of attention from this, me being unique, having different type of demeanor, different type of etiquette, different type of a fashion sense, and it opened up a lot of doors for me as I was going throughout my journey. So just me understanding that, I was able to, in 2010, that's when I ended up starting my own my brand. I was
Mm-hmm.
hanging around with a bunch of different people, a bunch of different guys. Two guys in particular. One guy, he was an older guy that actually I went to school with his daughters, and they used to always tell me like, "Hey, his name is Taji, by the way." So Taji, his daughter used to always say, I want you to meet my dad. You will love him. I want you to meet my dad." And I was in high school, and I was always a little different, but I wasn't like to the point where I was like, I don't want to really meet nobody, no guy's dad. Like, it's cool. I'm good where I'm at. But so years later, I ended up meeting his dad because I was working at my dad's clothing store in Cheltenham Mall, and I'm like, "Oh, you the pop?" I seen him, fly old head. I'm like, "Okay, yeah." He told me to come past this spot. I went past this spot, checked it out. He had a whole spot, a whole house designed with art, furniture, fashion. Like, it was just amazing. I'm like, wow, it's in the backyard, in my backyard. I'm like, this whole time it's like, so I just was getting exposed to a lot more things. Then I had another
Mm-hmm.
friend of mine who I was inspired by named Latif. He's a singer songwriter, and he was the first person to ever call me king. So, and I'm thinking to myself, like, why are you even calling me a king? I don't have king like pockets. I'm not sitting on the throne nowhere, but it's more so about the mind. Your mindset dictates your reality. So, and he used the word king as a word of endearment instead of using the N words that we so commonly use. Instead of calling
Yeah.
somebody a nigga, I'm calling you a king. What does a king represent? Power, strength, leader, a man. Somebody that's focused, someone that has uh, just a vision, some goals in mind. So those type of things is something that I embraced. So I started calling myself a king, and I realized that I'm good by myself, but I'm even greater with like-minded individuals around me that have the same type of mindset or the same type of goal. So I realized that kings rule together, and because I'm sitting here with this guy right here who's an older guy, he's bringing me something that I don't have. I'm giving him something that he don't have. My homie Latif, he's giving me something that he doesn't have, and I'm giving something that he don't have. So it's like, but together as a collective, we are powerful. So just coming up with that concept right there, that's when I changed my whole way of thinking. I changed my mindset, my reality, how I always like to phrase it is I use the word to turn the word to a lifestyle to a business. Well, I turn a word to a lifestyle to a brand, and a brand to a business, simply off of this changing my way of thinking and hanging around certain type of individuals.
Man, that's powerful stuff, man. And for those who don't know, like Mesquite was huge, right?
Yeah,
I'm from Philly, so already know I know how big it was back in the day. Like Mesquite was a big thing, and it wasn't just a Philly thing too. So
yeah, it
um,
wasn't.
yeah, Mesquite was a huge brand. But also one of the things that I think is dope is you're an entrepreneur, you have your business, but you acknowledge those that inspire to help you along your journey. Because a lot of people call themselves self-made, and I don't think anybody's really self-made.
Yeah,
So I think it's important to acknowledge, specifically our old heads or people that, give us energy or pour into us to help us get to where we are. So I think that's dope, to remember those folks. And so then you get into the brand, right, of Kings Rule Together, right? Which is a fire name, by the way, Kings Rule Together.
thank you.
So when you first started that, what was your first when you first got into the fashion with your own brand of Kings Roll Together? What was that step like? What is the first thing you put out? Was it a shirt? Was it a hat? Like what was that journey like?
The first thing I put out was a a t-shirt. I had a cookout with maybe like 500 people coming out, and this was like, I'm like, yeah, this is when I'm gonna release release the t-shirts. Actually, one of my uncles, he gave me the bunch of t-shirts for free. He said, look, I got these t-shirts in here, you can have them. I'm like, I bet. So then I cut the cost. I printed out all these white t-shirts, and I was looking forward to selling all of them at the cookout. I didn't sell any of them at the cookout. So I know, because everybody was there for other reasons. Until that day, I mean, and since that day, moving forward now, when I do have events or when I do have things and I want people to buy stuff, I don't drink myself, so I don't even like really offer drinks. It's like, look, I want you to come out here to buy. I want you to come out here to do this. But my purpose is different now. Since that day, it already puts in my mind, like, okay, I know when people come out to have a good time, if they really want to have a good time, they're not focused on the other stuff that's really the main goal. But
So
anyway,
that was really a big learning experience for you then, right?
yeah, it was. And from that point, I knew I had a budget of how much money I spent for the stuff. So I made sure that I made my money back. So I ended up giving out all the t-shirts for the most part to people around the city, influential people that I knew, people that, that I was cool with. But I made sure I made maybe like the $200 or whatever. I forget how much money I spent. I need to find that out for sure, because that's a good number to remember. But I made sure that I made that money back and I gave it all out. So now everybody had the t-shirts on. It said Kings Inspired Kings was my logo. I actually got like it's it's a painting right here. Queens
Okay.
Kings right here. So it's pretty much this, but it said Kings Inspired Kings, and it was on a white t-shirt. So for like the first couple years, I only had white t-shirt and black t-shirt. You couldn't get it in no other color. And then years later, I ended up coming out with a gray. And I never even come out with another color since then. So now to this day, more than a decade later, I can come out with that same t-shirt with a red, a blue, a green, a yellow, whatever the case may be, off of one design. So, and my whole purpose of like, just bringing out one design and one color at the time was because I wanted to brand it as that. So I can have some more longevity with what I was trying to do. Because a lot of times I realize, and also just me pay attention to people that came before me, or what I see what works and what doesn't work. I see a lot of people may have out one design and they just flood the streets with all the colors. Like, you can get red, blue, yellow, green. Oh, can I get a custom? No, you can't get a custom. So now it's like, for instance, I drive a Jeep and a Jeep Wrangler. So when you see somebody with a Jeep, you put up the deuces, and everybody's like, it's a community. So when everybody's seen, and this is me thinking about it right now, I never thought about this until right now, but when people saw everybody with the white t-shirt on, they knew like, okay, yeah, all right, what's up, brother? I see you know KRT, Curran. We are connected somehow, some way, because everybody had the same t-shirt for a long time. Then I started bringing out other t-shirts after that, which was like the Unity design, Living a King's Vision, the Young King. So the whole concept of the KRT brand was, and it still is fashion through positivity. Using words of endearment, powerful words with meaning, with substance, and making it cool. Because at the time, there wasn't really nobody really, promoting, calling each other kings or queens, or pushing something of a positive substance. And we was at the forefront of that. And now it's like, I go to the mall and they got king, queen, or everybody like it's flooded everywhere, all over the place. Which is it's like, I may not actually get the credit for starting this type of movement, but I know for sure that I was in the forefront of pushing that agenda to the masses and changing people's mindsets and mentalities, and inspiring the masses for real.
Yeah, and that's powerful, man. One thing I want to talk about is, because you had a successful clothing line, you still do, but you made a huge pivot with your business, right? Into the cycling industry. As a matter of fact, I don't know if people can see this, but I'm actually sitting here reading the magazine that you were on the cover of, right?
Yeah.
And you're on the cover of this magazine for your Kings Roll Together, like, cycling club. So talk about having the fashion line, right? And then making that transition. How did you get into cycling, and what was that like? Did you have this vision all along, or is it something that just happened as part of your lifestyle?
It happened part of my lifestyle. Like for instance, I play basketball, so I have a pair of basketball shorts, that I brought out, or we used to have basketball tournaments. So it's like KRT was always based off the things that I like to do, and other people like to do it as well. So we just embodied a lot of things that, into a brand. So we said KRT basketball, KRT cycling, KRT golf, KRT. So KRT can really embody anything that it wants to be. If we have those people that are interested in doing those type of things. So I started cycling in 2017 as a form of therapy, as something that I seen my friends doing. They lost weight from cycling. I'm like, okay, well, it's something I might want to do. And I didn't look at it as a long-term thing that I would really turn into what it is today. I just looked at it as something that is a hobby. But all my things are typically a hobby, but now I'm turning my hobby into a career. And that's what's, a lot of youth, a lot of people of color too. Once we realize that you can turn something that you do for fun and do it for a lifetime, that's when you start looking at things differently. So once I realized the impact that I had, or the impact that we could have, once we went to that first ride, we did 65 miles from Philadelphia, Atlantic City, New Jersey, and they had thousands of people out there, all type of different colored jerseys on. They blocked off the Ben Franklin Bridge. I'm like, oh, this is big. This is, and then I didn't see nobody of color that looked like us, with swag like us, with like style like us, with anything. So I'm like, you know what, we can do this. And then once I seen other people that came before me and what they was able to do and what they're doing over there in the West Coast. So it's like a few years back, I'm dreaming about, though, these guys over there, they're amazing. We got to be like them. Now I'm in conversations with them. Now I'm over there, and they follow us on Instagram, or they buying our stuff and they reposting us. So it's like, it's definitely a blessing to see the growth where, I didn't really have a vision for it, but being a visionary, you adapt the vision as you go along with whatever it is that you are doing at the time.
Yeah, I think that's dope, right? So one of the things you said and is about doing what makes you happy or doing what you love, right? So you've created a brand around all the things that you enjoy, right? Whether it's fashion, whether it's art, whether it's basketball, now cycling. And that's something I think a lot of our youth don't focus on a lot of times, is what makes them happy. They go into professions and things because they think it's going to make them money and not necessarily bring them joy. But what you found is, by following the things that bring you joy, you still can, create revenue and build a business for yourself. I think that's dope. And that's very inspiring, and should be inspiring to anyone listening or watching, that you can actually do that. Now, getting into the cycling business though,
Thank you.
who was it that introduced you to cycling?
So, I used to go to a barbershop. Well, I still go to a barbershop at Wild Styles at Germantown and Haynes. And three of my friends in there, all barbers. One of them in particular, Hassan, he was the one that got a lot smaller. So him and Ryan, who's the other guy that's on the cover of the Grid magazine, they started the cycle first. So they said, yo, yeah, come out next Sunday. I borrowed my brother's mountain bike, went around Kelly Drive, West River Drive, did like one loop, and I was cooked. I was done. And I wasn't even really done. I was done more so because of the type of bike I had and the type of bike that they had. So that inspired me to, like, you know what? I gotta go and find another bike, because I'm a competitive guy. So if I see these guys around doing moving and shaking, I want to be on the same type of level. It's like they're inspiring me. I need to be on that level. We all gonna hang around each other. So that's when I went on like a 2-week, a search of trying to find a better bike. And my budget at the time was only $250. So I went to Dick's. I seen a bike that was $250, a red bike. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna come back. Once I started doing more research, I realized that the bike that I needed to get had to be at least $1,000. And typically, especially coming from where we come from, spending $1,000 is a car. So I'm about to spend $1,000. Yeah. I'm like, nah, I don't think that's not really it. But I was trying to work on my credit, so I found a place that did financing at interest free for 12 months. I'm like, all right, bet. That's the perfect dynamic right there. So I ended up buying a bike that was originally $1,500. I got it for $1,100. Paid it off within a year. That year, before the year came around, I was able to give the bike back and upgrade to a bike that was $2,000, and I paid $1,500 for, and I just paid the difference of the cost. And now, third year, I became the first Trek ambassador. Trek is a global cycling company. I became the first brand ambassador for that company, and now I have a $7,000 bike that I got for free, as well as another member of the club got a $10,000 bike for free from being a part of our club and a Trek ambassador. And then I'm waiting for my second bike right now, because each year that I'm with the ambassador program, I would get a bike for free. And these bikes and bikes aren't cheap, but you can get a cheaper bike. So, but I'm getting a top level bike from being an influencer, from being a man that pushes the agenda with the cycling industry, that doesn't look like the typical people that are pushing the agenda.
Yeah, that's interesting, because when you were speaking to the kids and you were talking about the prices of bikes, and I knew bikes could be expensive, but you start talking about 10 grand. I'm like, hold up, that's a whip.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's a whip right there.
You go to auction, get something real nice for 10 grand. I'm like, yo, I have like $10,000 bikes. I mean, and one of the things, like, from listening to your story, and I read the magazine and everything, is cycling is a culture. It's its own culture. It has its own vocabulary. It has its own everything. And, I'm pretty sure, like, from reading your story in the magazine and everything, that, and something you also just said, there aren't too many people that look like us in the cycling culture. So how have you been embraced by the culture, or how is it bringing folks into the culture?
So the thing is, excuse me, with most things, there are people that's a part of a sport. It's just not necessarily being promoted and marketed in a way that people can appreciate and understand. So, like, for instance, it's a club called Major Taylor. So Major Taylor was the first Black champion, I think, in 1989. Excuse me if I'm wrong. So they have a cycling club based off his name, and they have over 40,000 probably cyclists all over the world. And but the demographic is maybe like 51 on up, because a lot of people that are cycling is it's normally an older man sport or a white man sport. So now you have people like myself who's coming in that's in that 35 age range, or now the 25 age range, or even the younger generation. So now we are able to show other people that look like us that this sport is available for you as well, and also you can have a different type of life and a certain type of life outside of the sport. And because for me, honestly, I used to hate drop down handlebars, like road bikes. I never wanted that type of bike, but now I know the importance of it. So it comes back to like educating the importance of why you probably need a bike, why you need this type of bike, why you wear these type of clothes. Why are we riding 100 miles within a week? Why are you riding 100 miles within a day? And showing that, because the thing is, a lot of people are not going to make it to the NBA. A lot of people are not going to make it to the NFL, and we have more people. It's a oversaturated market. So now, if you take those same talents and push it over to cycling, lacrosse, soccer, badminton, whatever the case may be, now you are closing the gap where you can probably be more successful at something versus hopping on something where everybody is doing. And we're so talented. It's nothing that our culture cannot do. We push that. We push the agenda. We push the creativity. We push the style, the swag. That comes a no-brainer. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what we do. That's by nature. So, us having that ability to do those type of things, we need to open up our mind to more things that we can accomplish. So, and because, like, technically we don't ever promote our membership. We just promote our lifestyle. We promote the things that we do. Like, we just came back from Jamaica. We ride our bikes in Miami, Atlanta, Charlotte, New Hampshire, Vermont. We're going to Montana this year. We plan on going to Colombia. You know what I'm saying? So I've been love to travel. I've been to a lot of these places before I even rode my bike or got into cycling. But now I'm able to travel to these places with my bike. It's a different type of experience. And also, we have a community of people that are like-minded, that are young professionals, all walks of lives, from all age groups, all age brackets, and we come together for the love of cycling. But also, if you're with somebody for 2 to 3 days out the week riding your bike, that becomes your friend, that becomes your family. We have each other's back. We have each other. We want to make sure everybody's safe. We want to make sure everybody goes home at the end of the night. So we're also breaking down barriers because of that. A lot of people that look like us haven't really engaged into owning their own, having ownership within the sport. Me being a visionary, I'm like, okay, how can I create a better experience for myself and the people that I'm with? So that's when we start doing our own manufacturing, which allows us to open up the gates a little bit more within the industry. So now we have our foot on the pulse with producing our own kits, with designing our own things, with having more say so of what we like and what we like to desire for our people. And it also is like it shares the black dollar. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm always about supporting people that look like me, support people that come to support me or come around my establishments, or know that, okay, if I go to this black owned restaurant, if I go to this or I go to this black owned barbershop, outside of the typical things that we may actually always see, because you always gonna know you're gonna have a black barbershop, you have a black daycare, of course you're gonna have a Jamaican restaurant because they black. What about the other things that we have that aren't black that you don't typically know about? How do we go about supporting these type of things? So one of the struggles that has been with this is people are so used to spending their money with the white man, and that's fine because you're used to. But now that you have people like myself who are opening up the doors for us to have a bigger voice, once you have that, and once the quality is established as a good quality, or it's a good message, a good brand, it should be no reason why we still going to these other people when we have our own.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But that takes a while to change people's mindsets. You know what I'm saying? So also, how do we cater to the people that love that other type of stuff? How do we cater to the people that, are used to just spending money with those other type of people? Sometimes we don't really know or recognize that, you know what, I should spend my money with the black man, because the black man is I'm riding with my people. I'm traveling with my people. We spend money with Gucci, we spend money with Louis Vuitton. They're not coming to our restaurants. They're not doing anything with us. So I always been a person of like, support the locals. And that I have adapted that to the people that came before me. We used to have a t-shirt with my dad and my old head Tawfiq used to have support the locals, because support the local businesses. And that's how we establish a better a family tree, a dynamic of successful people, by supporting the people that's around us versus going to outside. Because we always go to the Asian restaurants, the Italian restaurants, the Indian restaurants. We go to everything else, but do they ever come to us? So it's like we make everybody else rich, but we never make ourselves rich, because we always giving the money to everybody else but the people that are closest by us. But at the same time, we have to make sure that the people that we are supporting, that is us, have this stuff together. Because it's not about, because you black, then I'm gonna give you my money. If you're black and you're doing the things that you need to do, and it looks good, the presentation is good customer service, that goes across the board for whoever you are, whatever skin color you are. So
and also if it's not up to par in terms of quality of customer service, I think it's important for us to have like real conversations about that, right? Like because people are quick to criticize but not really offer help or support. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's important. But what you said is amazing. What you're talking about is creating community. That it's so much in that, because you guys start riding together and doing it's probably the most amazing networking you can do too. Because when you guys you probably come from all different walks of life, doing all kinds of businesses and other different things. So it's probably the most amazing network too, right?
It is, and that's one of the things I try to promote the most about. Like, we have an amazing community, like so many successful people, entrepreneurs, real estate agents, real estate owners, people who have 100 properties, people that own hotels, people that own Amazon fleets, people that are just like lawyers, doctors, you name it, and it's a melting pot of power. You know what I'm saying? Like when you get all these people together, and the thing of and actually I learned this back in the day too, when I used to throw parties and I used to do events back in the day. Before I started throwing events, I used to throw parties. But what I realized was we used to have people that was artists, designers, painters, all types of stuff at the parties. But because the music was so loud, because everybody was there for a different reason, you didn't get to tap into this person and really utilize that resource. So what we started doing was creating networking events so people can come out and you can actually hear this person, you can see this person, you can have a conversation with this person, you can have vendors. We used to call that Arts Beats and Eats. I used to do that with my homie Shahid. And we had an amazing time at these events, and it was more productive, and people still talk about it to this day. So moving forward to the day, it's like, how can you create a space where you can utilize each other's resources? So like, oh yeah, that if I need a doctor, we have a member in the club that is a doctor and he can help you out, or a dentist, or whatever the case may be. So it's really just knowing who's around you and how you can utilize that resource.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful. So I know that you have the Kings Rule Together like cycling club, but you also have like Queens Rule Together. How long has that been around, and what was the impetus to start the Queens Rule Together?
Well, that started in 2020. It's and it really started because the women started reaching out to us about, hey, do you ever do Queens? Do you ever have a women's ride? And most things I pay attention to, but it's never like that's what my initial goal was. So I started paying attention to the people that wanted to be a part of this, and we was like, okay, one day we just had maybe like 5 or 6 women come out, and that's when it originally started. And then as time went on, we started getting them uniforms. We started promoting them and putting them on a pedestal. It blossomed to what it is now. And then the Queens, they have even a stronger bond because they do stretching, yoga, game nights, tea parties. They do so much more outside of just the cycling. We do stuff too, but the guys, we might just go play ball, or we might just do other things. But the women, they have I feel like a stronger sense of community and unity, because they have a lot more things they touch on, and they're more intentional about stuff. And I think it's important that we did separate from, instead of because a lot of clubs, a lot of people just always have like one male club and then a women ride with the men, or the women do things with the men. We have KRT and QRT. So QRT has their own identity, and that allows them to have a bigger presence, a bigger impact. And now we have over 100 women that's a part of our club. And the thing is, we have people from all over. So we started off based in Philadelphia, and that was the original goal, was just to have group rides every Sunday. Now we do at least 4 rides a week, and we also have over 250 members in multiple states in 3 countries.
Wow, that's powerful, man. You've built an international business, right? Also, your hobby. That's fire. Also, what I like about it is in reading and looking up your stuff and looking at your Instagram is the fashion sense that you've brought into like the cycling outfits, right? And I was reading the magazine, you were talking about how before you got in, you didn't know why people wore the tight pants or why they had like the padded shorts. You're like, what is that? But you've taken that and brought your style and your fashion sense to cycling. How has that been embraced, like by the people who are probably like, the stodgy older people that have been cycling for a while? How do they look at, what you've brought in terms of like style and stuff like that?
I think that's one of the number one things that may get overlooked, but may also be the biggest impact that we're having within the industry, because of, because how we look, because the numbers that we bring, everybody looking good, they feeling good. That's my whole thing. Dress how you want to be addressed. So if you go out there, even if you don't look like you are even if you aren't that skilled or that good of a rider, you're still going to look like you are that good of a rider because of the outfit that you have on. So, and also because you see other people that came before you. And also the thing is, we offer bigger sizes too. Most companies are normally targeted to people that are slimmer, or people that are it's more like a elitist. So people that I guess typical look like they're supposed to ride a bike, but we offer the sizes too, because we know that our women are bigger, our guys are bigger. We might even have bigger muscles or whatever the case may be. So we go up to 6X in our jerseys. We go up to 5X in our bottoms and certain occasions, because we wanted to see more people on the bike. And we definitely got embraced by a lot of people because we are young, we are Black, we are coming in with, and we're taking pictures, we're taking pictures, we're doing videos, we're traveling, we're really making it look fun. On top of that, we're looking good. So the kits are, and that's what it's called, a kit. It's a jersey and a cycling bib, and the bib, which is the shorts. we typically, myself, I probably would never have worn that when I was younger because I didn't know the importance of it. But that's where it comes back to education. You educate people on why you need to wear this, why you need to wear the top, why you need to wear this certain type of shoes, why you should wear a helmet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wish, especially the younger generation with the Willie boys and all that type of stuff, like it's people that get hurt wearing a helmet. It's people that get hurt or die by just being in the bike lane. So, you doing all these tricks and turns and all that type of stuff. Is like, you're not only putting yourself in danger, you're putting the people that are around you too. So one of the things that we also like to promote is safety, because like I said, we want people to come home at night, come back how you came. So we promote safety, road rules, helmets, because it's important, you know what I'm saying? And your brain is your number one investment. So that's one of the things we like to promote as well.
Yeah, and one of the things that you mentioned is like you also had been embraced by like certain celebrities who wear the brand, who love your brand. Like, who were some of the folks that embraced your brand? And I got a couple questions. Who were some of the celebrities that embraced your brand, and who were like the more shocking ones? Like, oh wow.
So from back in the day, from original KRT, we had LeBron James, Bow Wow, Marsha Ambrosius. The first one I ever wore was Terrence J, who was the host of Wilson Park.
Mm-hmm.
He wore three times on there. Erykah Badu, Jaden Smith.
Yeah.
Danny Garcia, local, not a local boxer, but he's from. Trying to think who else. We had at least like 10 people.
Who was the one that you were? Who was the one that you were shocked with? Like, oh damn, well, they know about our brand.
Who I was shocked? Honestly, I wasn't really shocked. I was more happy than shocked, because the thing is, like, when you doing the work, like, I feel like good things are going to come to you, or if you treat people how you want to be treated, things is going to come to you. So, and the thing is, like, I always supported people, and I always, connected the dots with certain people. I always put myself in position to have those type of results. None of this stuff happened just because, they just love the brand. Like, no, like I went out there, I tried to get to the person, or I connected with the stylist. So it's like, or I reached out to these people. Things was actually, it was more of a strategy than just some luck. So like with so more recently we had Ray Allen wear the brand. First was Reggie Miller. So how Reggie Miller happened was, we tagged them in a couple things. We tagged him in some of the stuff we did. He reposted us. He started showing love. I did a video of me shooting a basketball at a court, and I tagged him. He reposted me. He went on live. I requested to be on his live. He added me on his live. But that's because he was asking questions about basketball, and he was letting people get on there who wanted to chime in. I asked to be a part of it. He let me in, but he already was familiar with me because I already planted them seeds. So it's kind of like it was just all love. You know what I'm saying?
So basically, you put the work in order for these things to happen, right? So yeah.
Put the work in. So once people see Reggie Miller got it on, and Reggie Miller showing us love, we promoting that he's showing us love. It's kind of like a snowball effect, because the thing is, who's not looking at Reggie Miller's story? LeBron. If you want to go, you got Bill Russell, you got Tom Brady. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can go down the list. You got all types of people that's probably looking at Reggie Miller's story. Shaq. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a list of people that looking at Reggie Miller's story. And then you got Ray Allen. So then Ray Allen, it's the same type of people. Steph Curry probably looking at that. You know what I'm saying? So people see it. So then after him, we got Maverick Carter. And some people, for those who don't know, Maverick Carter is LeBron's right-hand man. So he's the one that all the business plays and stuff like that. That's what he does. So Maverick Carter wears it as well. So all this stuff is really like, and the thing is, because cycling is a lifelong sport, basketball, football, all these other things that we play constantly is not saying that you can't do it when you're older, but it's a lot harder. There's people out there cycling that's 80 years old. Plus, my oldest member part of our club is 64. So after a lot of the retired athletes from basketball, football, after they finish playing ball, they're like, yo, what can I do? They start cycling. So we got so many athletes. We got Emmitt Smith, Bo Jackson, Ray Lewis, Warren Sapp, you know.
And I guess when they get into space, they found someone that looks like them that is in the space, doing what you got to do. And again, your stuff looks better than everybody else too, right? Because culture matters.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's dope. And that's why I wanted you to tell your story, because there, like you mentioned, there's a lot of us who are in the real estate or who are in these certain things, but it's not too often you find a black-owned business in cycling. So I think that's powerful, because I had a crazy experience, right? So, shout to Down North Pizza. And the brother has been on a podcast as well. But I went to Down North Pizza.
That's my uncle.
Okay. I've been on the pod. All right, didn't even know that, right? But anyway, so I went down there, to support a cop the pizza, and then I went into like a black-owned comic book store, right? And I was only going there to buy a comic from a brother I know who wrote a comic, who's a black-owned comic. I was like, yo, these are like, I got a black-owned pizza from a black comic book store reading a black comic. I said, yo, this is dope. Like, you know what I mean? Because these are things that, we generally just aren't in, right? Yeah. And so I thought that was dope. But I hearing your story is amazing too, because again, there's not too many people that look like us who were in this culture and are doing amazing things. So before we get out of here, I got a couple more questions though. Along this journey from where you started to where you are now with a club that's international, what would you say is the biggest hurdle or something that you had to overcome to get you to where you are today?
I think one of the biggest hurdles that I had was pretty much just, I would say, finding a balance of like having the work and the lifestyle of like, just because my thing is I always wanted to have freedom and mobility. And the reason why I kind of fell back years ago was because when 2017 I wasn't doing KRT. I didn't start doing KRT again because I kind of fell back, because like I felt like I was doing all this stuff. I was very popular. I was, people were supporting the brand, but I was robbing Peter to pay Paul sometimes. I didn't have as much money as I would like to, and I didn't want to work for nobody else. So the biggest hurdle for me was like really having the pride to go out and get a regular job to help me sustain my dream again, because I didn't want to work for nobody else. I want to do my own thing. So it's really about like being disciplined and having that, creative aspect to be able to see through the hard times. And it wasn't really no hard time. It was more so just like, I know what I want to do, and I know what I want for myself. So, so my hurdle really was like this overcoming and figuring out the way to sustain myself so I can be able to do what I love to do only, because I know what I like to do, and I don't want to do it with nobody else but my own brand. This is something I started from scratch. There was never no KRT before me. It was never nobody that was doing the things that I was doing. Like I created this from scratch. I had times when I had opportunities taken away from me because they thought that I was going to promote my brand instead of their brand, or when I was running my blog, I had opportunities where like, well, you have your own brand, so you can't be a part of this because I always was pushing my own agenda, and a lot of people they may not like that, especially bigger brands, or so I always wanted to promote my own thing. So that was one of the hurdles for myself.
Interesting. Listen. And I know a lot of people probably resonate with that, of trying to figure out how to put themselves in position to do what they love. So thank you for sharing that. Do you have a favorite book or a book that's inspired you along your journey?
A favorite book? I would say the Malcolm X documentary. I'm sorry, Malcolm X biography. I love that book. I like that book a lot because, for one, it was talk about Muhammad Ali in that book too, and I met Muhammad Ali and he signed the book. So that's probably one of my biggest and favorite moments. So when I read the book and I met Muhammad Ali, he signed the book. So that's one of my favorite books, and not because of like all the stuff that's in it. I probably had more books that I read that I like really resonate with or in tune with, but that one is more sentimental.
Got you. It's one of my favorite books as well. So listen, this has been amazing, man. Thank you so much for sharing your journey. But the last question I have before we get out of here is the future. What does the future look like, for Kings Roll Together or Queens Roll Together for your overall business and brand? What do you see as your future?
In the future, I see us having our own like our clubhouse for one. It's maybe like I don't necessarily want to have a bike shop. I just want to have like a place where you can come and lounge. We may have showers there. Members can come and chill, coffee, clothing, photography and stuff like that in the back, and people meet up there for rides, and establishing more chapters in other cities as well. Because right now I would say we have about 4 chapters really, but we have a lot of members, but every city is not like its own chapter yet because we're still growing in numbers and still growing in leadership in certain places. I see us also having just like creating more attire for like outside of this because I used to do regular clothes, now I'm doing cycling, but now I'm kind of merging the two together and doing a little bit of regular clothes and cycling apparel and just creating that whole lifestyle of the apparel company in general, and also offering custom for other people who want to have their things made as well. So we're finalizing our 2 newest custom order for other clubs right now. So now people who are normally going to someone else, now they can come to us to get their stuff made. So we're still on that journey as well. Also establishing something where I still have a KRT Cares nonprofit 501(c). So working with the youth, having them understand and establish a relationship within the cycling industry, and not just cycling in general, just like whatever it is that they aspire to do or whatever it is they aspire to be. Like we have so many people that are inspirational, so many people like yourself. You get what I'm saying? Like just opening up more doors for more people to have more opportunities, wherever that may lead them in life.
Yeah, and and I appreciate you saying that. Though that's I know I said my last question, but I have to add on this though, because how important is that part to you in terms of giving back and reaching out? Because again, we met with you coming to share your story with high school students here in Philadelphia. So is that something that was ingrained in you from a kid, or something that you figured out later on that I have to share my story and give back? Like how has that become a part of your life?
I mean, I think it's embedded in me because I wouldn't be who I was without the people that came before me, or the people that mentored me, or poured into me when I didn't think I was as great as I am. So, and sometimes you just really need somebody to open a door, or you need to see an example of something so you can see success. Most people are successful because they see other people that are successful. I won't be a king if I'm not inspiring other kings to be better or be greater. So that's important to me to give back. And give back may not always be money, may not always be time. It can be resources, or it can be, this opportunity, or it can be a follow. It can be so many different things, So like just yesterday, I rode past a bunch of guys riding their bike, and one of them had the bike on the floor. I just pulled up. I said, "Hey, y'all cool? Like, you'll be cool here." I'm like, "All right." I knew they lived around me, so I pulled around the block, and then I showed them the magazine that I was in. Like, look, I see y'all. They had regular bikes, no helmets, just showing them what they can do. Because sometimes we don't know. We don't see that we can be bigger, or we can be more than what it is, So you got to show people that, what you could possibly be, if not greater. So that's important for me for sure.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. So I just want to thank you so much for sharing your story and giving us your time. I'll make sure to put the links to everything that you've got going on in the description, as well as the show notes.
Okay.
So you guys can go check out what Curran has going on. I'll make sure I put his Instagram, as well as websites and everything else that you can go check out, and just make sure you get his brother a follow. Support what he's got going on, because again, there's not too many folks that look like us that are within this space, and it's important that when we find someone that we definitely support what they've got going on. And I just want to say much continued success to you. And definitely just want to say, look, proud of the work that you're doing, and keep up the good work, good brother.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Appreciate the opportunity. Definitely. I'm glad I even came out, because this thing is, like, I came out to that to speak at the high school, and now it's a snowball effect from here. And who knows what else going to come from this? You get what I'm saying? So
exactly, and that's the thing about putting that positive energy out there. Yep, positive energy always travels that way, man. So to our audience out there, make sure that you give him a follow, check out everything he's got going on, and support this brother, because he's doing amazing work. And he's building with the community and helping out our youth. Like, so if you have any kids interested in cycling or what have you, make sure you reach out though. But for audience out there, as we always say, it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much you keep. Game elevates. We'll see you guys on our next episode. We appreciate you so much. Peace.